Gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to the first matchup of 2015. I'm Parker Southern, right alongside the one and the only Mr. And today we are bringing you a matchup, the first of which for both teams in the year 2015. Today, the Worcester Lancers of 6-3 will be taking on the 1-6 Salem College Spirits. And Caleb, let's just break down this game. We're 3 minutes till tip-off. On paper, this is not a game that is favorable for the Spirits.
Parker, that's exactly right. When you look at this game on paper, obviously all signs point to a victory. Coming in at 1-6. They haven't had a win since they played Johnson, Tennessee 5 games ago. They're currently on a 4-game losing streak. They've had an 88-62 loss to Piedmont, a 10-point loss to Emory and Henry, a 8-point loss to Birmingham Southern. Not a great stretch for the Spirits. Whereas you look at the Lancers, they're 6-3. They're coming in off a 2-game win streak. They've got a coach who's got a first season, whereas Coach Brittany Monee of the Spirits, only in her first season. So on paper, these two teams are pretty opposite. The Lancers average about 65 points a game, 41 rebounds a game, whereas about 57 points and 37 boards. So on paper, obviously this matchup doesn't look great for the Spirits. But as we know, games aren't played on paper. They're played on the court.
Right, and Caleb, a lot to look at just momentum-wise. We always talk about this, how, in college basketball, men's, women's, whatever it may be, any team can beat any team on any given day. But in these situations right now, the last 4 games the Spirits have played, they've lost by 24 points. Then they lost by 10 points, and then most recently by only 8 points. So there is signs of improvement. And then you look over at the Lancers, and they have won their last 2 games by at 1 point, 6 points, and then most recently by 10. And even a notable win they had this season was against Mount Holyoke, where they won by 60. So this team can produce, and they know that because of the numbers. But, Caleb, it's going to be so important for the Spirits to come out tonight, or this morning, and they need to make their presence known. And a little bit to note about that, Caleb, talk a little bit about warm-ups and what we saw just going into warm-ups today.
Well, as we're sitting here watching these two teams warm up, I don't know if it's sickness or academic issues, the Spirits don't have all their players out here tonight. They've only been warming up with 8 players. Whereas you look at this Lancer team, they've got 14 players out there. In terms of just strict numbers, they're a much bigger team. And I think for the Spirits, it's intimidating to see this team that's physically and, numerically bigger than them. And going into the game, I think that might be a problem. More subs coming off the bench, more energy. Not a big crowd here today to celebrate the first day of the new year. So could be a tough environment for the Salem Spirits.
Well, Caleb, and another thing I wanted to note was, I guess, the 2 standout players that I see for both of these teams. Number 1, Q Lewis. She leads her team in minutes per game, rebounds per game, points per game, and steals per game. And then you go down and look at Julia Frankian, and she as well. She's shooting just over 50% from the 3, which is impressive for any level of basketball. So both of them, Julia also has made 40 of her last 48 free throws, which is a good percentage as well. And now I think we're going to take a minute to rise for the national anthem.
Thank you for joining us here today on Triad Sports Coverage as we will cover the game between the Salem Spirits and the Worcester State Lancers. Whether you're listening in North Carolina, whether you're listening in Massachusetts, we hope you had a safe New Year's Eve last night. We hope you're bringing in the new year right to all of you listening at home. We hope you enjoyed your new year. Special shout out to someone recovering at home from surgery, my sister. Huge basketball fan. She's listening right now. Mary Stewart, hope you get better.
Mary Stewart, we do love you and hope your recovery is quick and safe. But Caleb, now they're doing the starting lineups right now currently for the Lancers, if you want to take that over.
For the Lancers starting today, we have Nani Perez, the freshman guard from Worcester, Massachusetts. We have Julie Frankian, the one you mentioned, leads the team in points and rebounds, a senior guard forward. We have Cheyenne Jennings, a senior guard. Shannon Elkassim, a senior forward. And finally, Bianca Langford, a junior forward. Parker, when you look at the Lancers, Elkassim and Langford, 5'10" and 6'1". That's a lot of size for the Lancers.
That is, Caleb. And even just in warm-ups, as we were talking about, they do have 14 players, and Salem only has 8. But when you look out there, there is way more height as well as just pure dominance maybe even on the court. And so now the starters for the Salem Spirits, number 1, Michaela Sievers, the guard, first year from Mount Airy, North Carolina. Then number 13, Quintasha Lewis, who is a forward junior from Charlotte, North Carolina. Then 21, Kristen Lawless. She is a guard, senior from Oberlin, Louisiana. Then we have number 22, Alexiana Bush, who is a forward sophomore from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And finally, but most certainly not least, number 24, Zakia Henderson, who is a senior guard from Inman, South Carolina. And Caleb, the last game we commentated actually was the game they've won most recently. And Zai Henderson wasn't quite the show-up player that we had talked about where, you know, she is one of my personal favorites, just her excitement that she brings to the court and all that she does. And so today I expect a lot from her in a team that may cause a lot of pressure and may force some errors. She's going to need to be that cornerstone that can hold this team down and really, in my opinion, keep everybody level-headed, keep everyone ready and focused. Well,
and as we talked about, this matchup on paper is not in favor of the Spirits. They're going to have to be defensively active, be active on the boards in order to get this Lancers team out of their rhythm in order to try and get the win today. As we get set for the tip-off here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the Lancers recover the tip. And it's going to be Perez bringing it baseline. Stolen by Crystal Lullis. She pushes it ahead to Sievers. Sievers drives to her right. A nice spin move. Her layup is off the mark. Rebound Lancers as Perez is going to push it the other way and slow the tempo down. Perez at the top of the key, commanding her team. Swings it out wide to Cheyenne Jennings. Ball down low to Langford. Back up top to Jennings. Open look for Elkassim. Her shot is off the mark. There's rebound Spirits. Sievers swings wide to Q Lewis. Her long two, no good. Lancers coming the other way now. Perez pushing it with pace. A nice pass off to Shannon Elkassim. But she is fouled by Q Lewis. She'll go to the line to shoot two.
Well, Caleb, right there, where we saw Q Lewis already taken a shot. This year, the Salem's 3 points, they make only 3.9 three-pointers per game. So average that up. They're making 4 3-pointers a game. Now, that's not bad numbers, but I think as a whole and as a basketball team, they want to change that. They want to take higher percentage shots and make more of those baskets because you can live by the three and you can die by the three. And four threes a game I don't think is a number they really want.
As Elkassim misses the first but makes the second, the Lancers take a 1-point lead here early. Now Sievers is going to slow the ball down. Looks to Coach Moniz for the signal. Drives to her left. Kicks it out right to Lullis. Back up top to Sievers. She's got Lewis on the wing. Outside to Lullis. Deep two, no good. Scramble for the rebound, and Perez comes down with it for the Lancers. She comes right side. Swings it to Elkassim. And a deep three from Cheyenne Jennings on the left wing. a great look there for the Lancers. Severs now bringing the ball front court for the Spirits. Drives to her left, finds Zy Henderson on the left side. She swings right to Lullis. Lullis hesitates, then drives to her left. Severs now has it. Severs drives and kicks to Henderson. Henderson in the right corner. Hands off to Severs. Severs a deep three as the shot clock is going to expire. It's going to be a shot clock violation there on the Spirits. Lancers ball coming left to right.
Well, Caleb, obvious observation, but the Spirits score 57.6 points per game, whereas they're allowing 72.6 points per game. Obvious, you got to not let them score, but today they really need to play shutdown defense, especially for such a high-scoring team as the Lancers.
And as you say that, Perez finds an easy look down low to Bianca Langford. Easy two for her. Lancers take an early 6-0 lead over the Spirits as Severs hands the ball off to Crystal Lullis on the right wing. Back to Severs. A good screen from Q Lewis. Now Severs drives to her left. Kicks it out to Zy Henderson, who drives in the lane. Gets a layup and the foul. She'll get the and one, and she'll go to the line to shoot one.
Well, Caleb, this defense right now for the Lancers, it's top-notch. I'm watching them play, and I'm watching them swing the ball all around the key, and they're not getting any breaks. And as we saw down here on the other end, the Lancers just penetrated right in, got a great underneath-the-basket pass for an easy two, and that's just a breakdown in defense. But the Lancers are not allowing the Spirits to have any type of game underneath the basket right now. They're having to all shoot from far out.
As Zy Henderson makes her free throw, makes it 3-6. Lancers lead. Perez bringing the ball up the court now for the Lancers. She's at the top of the key. Finds Langford down low. Kick out to Frankian. And Frankian's fouled on her baseline drive by Alexiana Bush. Foul on Q Lewis, and she's going to be subbed out now for Kenna Amos as she picked up her second foul early. Lancers inbound the ball. Frankian in the left corner. Her three in and out. Rebound Lancers. Perez down low to Langford. Her shot's off the mark, and it's a rebound Crystal Lullis as she pushes the ball the other way now. Her pass off Severs' foot. Perez recovers. Drives strong, but she turns the ball over. Now Zy Henderson pushing it the other way for the Spirits. Drives in the lane. Layup. No good. Rebound Jennings for the Lancers. Jennings finds El Kassim down low. Dish off to Langford, and her layup drops.
And Caleb, right there, that was Langford going up against a much smaller Lullis, if I'm not correct. And that height disadvantage is just going to kill it on tonight's game.
Right, as we mentioned before, the Lancers, a much bigger team physically than the Spirits. They're going to have trouble down low, rebounding and scoring with that one, as the Spirits turn the ball over, backcourt violation.
And Caleb, as you say that, the Salem Spirits have suffered 20.4 turnovers per game this season. That's just simply too much. It's got to go down.
El Kassim kicks out to Jennings. Her three off the mark, but a strong rebound there from Bianca Langford, and her putback is good.
And Caleb, right there again, Langford versus Lullis. That's a matchup that's not going to work out tonight by any means whatsoever. I mean, there's not really any way around it. She's clearly 6 foot, and Lullis is maybe pushing 5'6", 5'7", somewhere in that range, if you want to be generous. But, Coach, I don't know what the options are there. Maybe put Shepard or put Q Lewis on her, but all night she's gotten her own rebounds as well as just been able to throw shots up. Right,
as Coach Monique calls a full timeout for her Spirits team. As you talked about, there's not really a great height matchup there for the Spirits. They don't have anybody that can physically match the size of Langford 6'1" or El Kassim 5'10". So, obviously down low in terms of rebounding, that's going to be a huge benefit for the Lancers. Right now we're actually joined by Jacob Brown of the Winston-Salem Christian School Lions, the other team that we are very familiar with here on Triad Sports Coverage. Jacob, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, sir.
So, for those of us who don't listen normally, those who are listening for the first time maybe, can you tell us a little bit about how y'all's season is going?
I mean, we're on a 4-game win streak. We got a big game Saturday. It's going to be a good matchup. They're 9-3. We're 9-5. I mean, it'll be a good game. It's a far game. We got to travel 3 hours.
Was that Fayetteville game?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
New Life Christian Academy.
Now, obviously, you're a basketball player. You've played more years than both Caleb and I have. In this game that we're currently watching, what have you seen that maybe the Salem Spirits need to do a little bit better? What do you think maybe is a breakdown in their offense right now?
In their offense, they just need to move the ball quicker and get more dribble penetration, maybe look at the post more because she's posting hard and she has position, but they're not looking at her. They're just looking for the jump shot.
And as Jacob Brown says that, a good 2 from Kenna Amos. Jacob Brown will be back with us during the breaks to talk about the game and to talk about his Winston-Salem Christian School Lions. As it's now 10-5, Lancers lead, 15-12 left in the first half. Shot by Langford off the mark. Zy Henderson with a strong board, and she comes the other way with it now. She drives in against Langford. Her layup is good.
And Caleb, I think right there, Langford, so far she's been the most impressive player for me just sheerly because of her height. I mean, she's had shots, and there's no way anyone on the Salem Spirits team can contest her. She simply is just too strong, too tall, and too powerful, and she's using it, and I think she knows it as well.
Well, as you talked about trying to match up size, Coach Monique put Alexiana Bush in the middle. They're going zone now against the Lancers to try and counteract some of that size. Right as I say that, Frankian finds Langford down low for an easy 2 as Severs brings the ball the other way now for the Spirits. She drives to her right, heavily guarded by number 20, Allie Lake. And a travel called on Kenna Amos as she drove into the lane and got stopped, didn't know where to go, and she unfortunately traveled. Ball coming the other way now. Allie Lake, the freshman guard for the Lancers, brings the ball up court. Frankian in the corner tries to find Langford. Pass is tipped, but it's going to be Lancer ball.
Well, Caleb, right now, like I said, Langford as well as Frankian, they're sort of showing up. They're dominant players right now. And I think Salem needs to get a player to do the same thing. We need a Q Lewis or a Zy Henderson to step up and say, I want this game really bad.
El Kassim tries to find Langford down low. Ball hit Langford in the hands and went out of bounds. It's going to be Spirits ball as they move right to left from our viewpoint here on the sideline. Severs bringing the ball up court now. In for the Spirits is Severs, Amos, Zy Henderson, Crystal Lullis, and Alexiana Bush. Zy Henderson has it at the top of the key, finds Bush in the lane. Strong drive. Nice move, and she gets her 2 to drop. 9-12, Lancers lead as Lake brings the ball up court. A steal by Crystal Lullis in the lane. She pushes ahead to Zy Henderson. Henderson's layup doesn't drop. Rebound tipped out of bounds. Lancers ball.
Hey, Caleb, right there, I remember the very first broadcast that I did where I was alongside Donnie Baldridge and Mike Pettaway, and he was talking so much about how Coach Monet wanted to just nail down the basics. And right there, Zy Henderson has a chance, to make this just a one-point game. And you just really can't miss those just breakaway under the basket layups. I know height might be an issue for some of these girls, but you got to make them.
And defensive miscommunication there for the Spirits as Keisha Jones, who was recently subbed in, had an easy look from right inside the three-point line. No Spirits player was on her. Zy Henderson now with it on the right wing. Finds Alexiana Bush down low. Her shot was blocked, but they're going to call a foul on number 40, Langford. They'll send Alexiana Bush to the line. And we talked about this matchup on paper, Parker. Even in terms of free throws, the Spirits only shoot 57% from the charity stripe, while the Lancers shoot 70%. The Spirits today are going to need to capitalize on these opportunities. As I say that, Bush misses the first.
Yeah, and Caleb, I was looking at this game, and I'm sort of trying to break down, of course, what I see. And something that I'm noticing is Salem is, in a way, the way they're like attacking the rim is somewhat, I guess you could say, timid. I guess you could say there's no, maybe the word's excitement that I'm looking for. They're just not trying to go. And I even think we've seen Alexiana Bush. She had a couple opportunities where she was under the basket. Instead of driving in, she kind of stepped out and tried to pass the ball to someone else.
Right, a lack of aggressive play has plagued the Spirits here early. It's a great defensive play there from Alexiana Bush battling Langford for the rebound. It's going to be Lancers' ball underneath their own hoop here right in front of us. Perez to inbound the ball. She finds Keisha Jones at the top of the key. Her pass off to Frankian. Perez has it now, the top of the key. Finds Frankian near side. Back up top to Perez. Down low to Natasha Gonzalez. Her shot is blocked by Alexiana Bush.
Caleb, and exactly what I was talking about. Someone needs to step up, and I think Alexiana Bush is doing that right now. 2 possessions now that the Lancers have had. She's just straight up said, no, ma'am, I'm not going to allow it. And she swatted that ball out.
Well,
kind of looking like Jacob Brown over here.
Alexiana Bush may be our player today for the Spirits, who's going to have to step up. As the Lancers miss an easy 2, and the Spirits coming the other way with it now. 12 minutes remain here in the first half. 10-14, Lancers lead. Crystal Lullis has it from the free throw line. Her jumper's good. And she's obviously excited about that one dropping as Perez brings it across the timeline. Commanding her team. Finds Frankian on the far side. Her pass down low to Keisha Jones. Stolen by the Spirits. Zy Henderson this time converts the layup. Tie ball game here with just under 11:30 to play. 14-14.
And that forces the Lancers to call timeout. Just like you said, 11:32 to go. 14-14 is tied up here, Caleb. And right now, basketball is always about drives. And right now, the Spirits are sitting in the driver's seat, and they have it floored to the ground. They have had great possessions with good steals, and then they converted those steals into baskets. Just then, Zy Henderson, another fast break, and she actually capitalized, got the layup. So we're going to take you to a quick commercial break, and we will be back shortly.
Hey, it's Big E, and I'm here with the 2013 Barbecue Pitmasters Alabama champions Ricky Wayne and Pig Daddy of Bibbs Downtown. Gentlemen, what's it like being reality stars?
Hey, it's almost as good as Bibbs Ribs, baby.
We're not Eastern or Western. We're Western.
I'll tell you one thing, I never trust a skinny cook, and these guys got it going on.
Hey, you can bring your family in, or if you like Biggie, come on in on Friday and get your Bibbs fixed.
It's barbecue with a downtown vibe.
They've got dine-in, takeout, catering, and a private event space. Be sure to follow them on Twitter and Facebook, and you can always check them out at BibbsDowntown.com.
Caleb, the Salem Spirits right now have so much momentum behind them. Alexiana Bush has had 2 swats in just the past 3 offensive possessions for both teams. And now we see Crystal Lawless hitting a mid-range 2. Then as the Lancers bring it back down the court, that ball gets stolen away by Zy Henderson. She takes down the court and makes her layup. And so we've seen 2 blocks, 2 steals, and they've all converted in points for the Spirits. It is now 11:32 to go in the first half, 14-14.
And as I mentioned earlier, not much of a crowd. People have started to trickle in a little bit louder here in this Salem College gymnasium, and the Spirits may be able to ride some of that momentum. As the Lancers can't convert on a layup, Natasha Gonzalez wasn't able to get that layup to drop. Kenna Amos drives in, her layup off the mark, and a rebound foul is going to be called on Alexiana Bush. As we mentioned, for the Lancers, they have many more players than the Spirits do. Coach Monique, her options are restricted right now in terms of substitutions, whereas the Lancers seem to be subbing every other possession almost. A lot of fresh legs coming off the bench for the Lancers. As Perez has it at the top of the key, finds El Qasim. Langford now in the lane. Her jumper short. Severs pushes ahead to Henderson. Pump fakes and gets her layup to drop. 2-point lead for the Spirits here.
Caleb, the Lancers are still doing a great job of getting the ball down below the rim. They are just driving in, and so far they've been shooting themselves in the own foot these past couple possessions. They've just simply missed the baskets.
And there, Perez finds Langford down low. She gets the bucket and the foul. That one's going to be on Alexiana Bush. The success we've seen from the Spirits has been a result of turnovers. They're forcing a lot of sloppy passes, getting a lot of steals, whereas when we see the Lancers making runs, it's just defensive miscommunications. It seems that the Spirits aren't all on the same page. If they can continue to be on the same page and continue to force turnovers, they can continue to lead this game. As Langford misses her shot at a three-point play, Sievers now has it at the top of the key, slows the offense down. Covered by Perez, finds Zy Henderson on the right side. Her pass down low to Bush. Her shot is blocked, but it's going to be Spirits ball underneath their own hoop. 9 seconds left on the shot clock.
Caleb, Alexiana Bush and Langford are the matchup to watch, or is the matchup to watch tonight. They have been playing very strongly against each other. Both a little bit of emotion getting to it now. Not anymore just about the basketball game.
Henderson in the right corner, drives baseline, finds Bush. Her fadeaway not going to drop as Perez pushes it ahead. Saved inbounds by Cheyenne Jennings. Langford now has it in the lane, guarded by Lola. She kicks out to Frankian. Her three is going to drop. 19-16 lead for the Lancers.
And we've been waiting for that shot right there all night from Frankian. She is just statistically the most dominant player on this Lancers squad, and now we're starting to see a little bit of it.
Right, shooting about 54% from the three. Two-pointer there for Kenna Amos as the Spirits bring it back to a one-point game. Perez has it at the top of the key. Finds El Kasem in the lane. Her layup, too strong. Crystal Lullis finds the board. She's going to push it ahead. Kicks out to Zy Henderson, who has it past the three-point line. Crystal Lullis, a long three, no good. Rebound, El Kasem. Perez now crossing half court. She's guarded closely by Zy Henderson. The Spirits now in a 2-3 zone to try and counteract some of that size from the Lancers. And El Kasem finds Langford down low. She gets the bucket and the foul again. And she's going to go to the line to shoot one.
Well, Caleb, one thing that I'm noticing, in the win against Johnson, Tennessee, they followed their shots. I think there was a lot more offensive rebounding, I could say, where even if they didn't get it every time, they at least contested. In this game, I feel like, again, it's that word timid I want to keep going back to for Salem, where they shoot these shots, and I feel like everyone just sort of backs up. Nobody's going in to even contest. I'm not saying they're going to get it every time, but even to contest, because it's like soccer. You can take a shot, but if it's not even on goal, you're not even making the goalie work for it. Even if you kick it right to him, there's no chance for error there. So I want to see the Salem Spirits do more of that.
Langford converts her free throw. Zy Henderson's pass stolen away by Jennings. She gets her layup to drop and a foul. She'll go to the line. 24-18, Lancers lead. Jennings could make this a 7-point lead. And over the last three possessions, something to note is that the Spirits are giving the Lancers just points for no good reason. 3 straight possessions, 3 straight and ones for the Lancers. They've been able to convert as Jennings makes that free throw. They're giving the Lancers easy points, something they shouldn't be doing if they want to win this game. Shaniqua Collins, a deep three in the corner off a pass from Lullis. She gets it to drop. Now Jennings brings it the other way. Perez kicks it to Jennings in the corner. Her three, no good. Crystal Lullis can't bring the rebound down. However, it's going to be out of bounds. Lancers ball underneath their hoop.
Well, with 8 minutes and 3 seconds to go, it is now a 4-point game where the Lancers are leading. And Caleb, you're right. I think these fouls, they need to be very intentional fouls and even wrap up if they're going down on the basket. Don't let them get the basket if you're going to foul them, especially on a fast break. Or just go ahead and try to contest, but contest in a good and healthy way, I guess you could say.
As Perez finds Langford on the inbounds for an easy 2. Zy Henderson now has it, finds Lullis at the top of the key. Looking for a screen from Bush. She drives to her right. Outside to Shaniqua Collins. Down low to Bush. Severs from the top of the key. Down low to Bush. Her layup won't drop. Jennings bringing it the other way now for the Lancers. She kicks out wide to Kelly McPherson, who finds El Kassim down low. Her pass to Perez a little high, but Perez able to corral it in the corner. Now Perez at the top of the key, slowing things down for the Lancers. McPherson pump fake. Finds Perez at the top of the key. She drives. Her layup not going to fall, but she grabs her own board. McPherson for three. No good. And Zai Henderson with the rebound. And a reach-in foul there on the rebound by Cheyenne Jennings, the senior guard from Worcester, Massachusetts.
Well, Caleb, right there we saw Perez. She took her shot, and she immediately tried to get around a Salem defender. And it didn't go in, and she got her rebound, and they didn't get to convert on that drive, but it was still a situation where you got to see her chase her own pass, and that's what I think they want to look for. You want to chase these rebounds. You want to try to get your own shot back. And if nothing else, like I said, you're just contesting, and that's the most important thing. But now we're going to bring Jacob Brown back on. And, Jacob, just curious, so do you think they maybe passed the ball a little quicker this time? What have you noticed so far in these next minutes we've been watching?
I mean, they're getting into the paint. They're not settling for much jump shots. They're actually seeing the ball go through the hole. So, I mean, driving in, finishing layups helps you, like, produce your shot. So just seeing it go through the hole, maybe you'll get a couple to fall.
When you're a pretty big man yourself, with Langford there for the Lancers, it seems that the Spirits don't really have a size matchup that they can, throw out there to guard Langford. What do they need to do to combat that size?
I mean, whenever she doesn't have the ball and they put up threes or even mid-range shots, they just need to box her out and don't let her get the offensive rebound and put it back up.
And we saw the Spirits there make a run to tie things up at 14. Now a 6-point lead for the Lancers. What do the Spirits need to do to get back into this game?
They just need to follow their shots, box out, and keep moving the ball quick and keep driving.
Well, again, Jacob, you know best. Basketball is entirely a sport about drives and about momentum, and if you can get that push going, that helps just so much.
That's Jacob Brown of the Winston-Salem Christian School Lions here on board with us to give us some insight about the game. As we start back here, 6 minutes to go in the first half. Severs kicks wide to Zai Henderson. Now Lullis has it at the top of the key. Finds Henderson in the corner. Her three is going to drop. Brings it back to a 3-point game for the Spirits as Perez has it at the top of the key for the Lancers. She finds El Kassim down low. El Kassim's pass stolen by Lullis. Spirits pushing it now. Crystal Lullis can't convert on the layup. Severs with a strong board. Her putback drops. And that fires up the Spirits bench. Coach Moniz fired up there. 1-point lead for the Lancers as Perez again brings the ball up the court. She's waiting. Finds Brianna Hackett down low to El Kassim. Hackett at the top of the key. Her three not going to drop, and Lullis, strong rebound there. Lullis now pushing it to Shaniqua Collins at the top of the key. Collins to Severs. Severs back wide to Collins. Down low to Bush with a strong move to the lane. Her shot's not going to fall, but she's going to go to the line to shoot two.
Well, Caleb, something I've always looked at is, you have your averages here. You have your points per game averages. You have your turnovers. You have your assists, your rebounds, and all that. And I think if you have your average, and in a game, what you can say is a good game or a bad game is if you meet that average. And right now, the Salem Spirits, Lexiana Bush has two blocks already. Usually they have 3.4 blocks per game. So I think they want to try to get more in the second half on threes. Like we said earlier, they're making right at 4 threes a game at 3.9 for the average, and they've already made 2 so far in the first half with 5 minutes still going. And so you want to see them excelling in areas that I think they usually don't, and to have 2 made threes already, and I don't know the exact percentage, but I think the percentage is pretty high because they haven't taken that many.
And Bush makes the first, misses the second. So a tie ball game. Lancers come down the floor, can't get the layup to drop. Lullis with the rebound. Now the Spirits have it. Shaniqua Collins at the top of the key. Finds Zy Henderson on the right side. She drives to her left and hands off to Collins. Sloppy pass there. It's going to be jump ball. Possession arrow points to the Spirits as Langford and Allie Lake sub in for the Lancers. 8 seconds left on the shot clock for the Spirits. Zy Henderson inbounds the ball to Sievers. She has it close to half court. Finds Bush down low. Drives, puts up a 2, no good. And Langford comes down with the rebound. She pushes it ahead to McPherson. McPherson thinks about a 3, finds Lake at the top of the key. Lake finds Brianna Hackett. Her 3 no good. Rebound Lancers, however. Lake now taking control of the point as Perez getting a rest on the bench. Lake has it at the top of the key, finds Hackett on the right. Hackett drives. Her pass to Langford stolen away by Zy Henderson. Henderson now hands the ball off to Michaela Sievers. Sievers guarded by Lake, finds Henderson on her left. Henderson drives, screen from Lullis. Henderson takes it all the way. A good look from 2, can't get her layup to fall. Now Hackett has it on the right side. Lake with the ball driving to her left. Back to Hackett on the near sideline. Down low to Langford. She kicks out to McPherson. 3 no good. Rebound Lancers. Put back no good. And it's going to be Spirits ball coming the other way.
Well, Caleb, something I noticed right there, McPherson got a rebound after a shot was taken from the corner, I think by Hackett, for 3. And she was probably right at the free throw line, and she's just standing there and the ball comes out. And I think what Jacob Brown was talking about a little bit, there needs to be some type of box out. You know, they need to at least contest her for that, and they're not doing that at all. And then on top of that, the Lancers, their passing is great. They're getting it to every single player just about every possession before the ball even goes towards the hoop.
Shaniqua Collins, her 3 is going to go off the rim. Rebound Lancers. Julie Frankian now has it on a baseline drive. Knocked out of bounds by Kenna Amos. Little words exchanged there between Frankian and Shaniqua Collins. Too much contact there under the lane. Inbound by the Lancers. Frankian underneath the hoop. Finds Langford just inside the lane for an easy 2. As Sievers looks at her coach, Coach Moniz, for the signal. Now brings the ball across half court. Drives to her right, finds Bush in the lane. Bush up top to Zy Henderson. Henderson drives right, kicks out to Kenna Amos. Kenna Amos with a strong drive and a great pass off to Alexiana Bush there. Back to a tie game, just under 3 minutes to go here in the first half. Allie Lake has it top of the key. Down low to Langford. Frankian gets the ball, can't get her layup to drop. The Spirits coming the other way with it as Sievers tries to push ahead to Kenna Amos. Pass stolen away by Lake. And her layup's not going to fall, but she gets her own rebound in the lane over Alexiana Bush. Lancers 3 from Hackett, and she gets that one to fall. And that right there, a demoralizing possession for the Spirits. A 6-point swing as the Lancers grab their own rebound there and then put up a 3. What could have been Spirits ball tie game is now Spirits ball down 3. As Sievers finds Shaniqua Collins in the corner. Her 3's not going to drop, but she gets her own rebound. Fresh shot clock now as Collins looks at Coach Moniz. Guarded by McPherson. She drives to her left, finds Sievers. Sievers looking for Bush down low. Finds her at the top of the key. Her jumper, no good. Rebound, Zy Henderson. She finds Kenna Amos in the lane. She's going to get her layup to drop and the foul. Trying to go for the old-fashioned three-point play here as Kenna Amos will go to the line to try and make this a tie ball game.
Caleb, that started with a great contesting rebound by Zy Henderson. She just quite frankly, stole the ball and then found her teammate under the basket, got the foul, got the basket. Here's a chance to tie the ball game, and she does 32-32 with under 2 minutes to go in the first half.
Well, and you mentioned rebounding as one of the deficiencies of the Spirits game thus far.
Correct.
And I think you couldn't have hit it better because on that possession we saw 2 offensive rebounds that led to a 3-point play for the Spirits. They need to continue to do that in order to have success here today. As Lake has it at the top of the key, finds Frankian at the free throw line. She kicks out to McPherson, down low to Langford. Her post move short. Alexiana Bush with a rebound as Collins brings it the other way now, down the right sideline. Henderson hands off to Collins. Collins for 3, no good. Rebound Lancers, Frankian bringing it the other way. Frankian finds McPherson on the right. Down low to Langford, back up top to Frankian. Her 3 no good, and Collins comes down with the rebound. She gives the ball to Michaela Sievers. 50 seconds to play here as Sievers crossover, drives to her right, finds Collins. Cross-court pass to Henderson. Henderson has it at the top of the key. She drives in the lane. Left-handed layup off the glass, gets it to fall. 2-point Spirits lead as Allie Lake brings it into the lane for the Lancers. Offensive foul going to be called on Bianca Langford as she drove right into Shaniqua Collins there. That's going to be Spirits ball, shot clock off, 24.8 seconds, and a 2-point lead here. Parker, the Spirits have an opportunity to go into the half with a potentially 5-point lead, 4-point lead, and a lot of momentum.
Right, Caleb, this has been explosive with just this offensive foul now. The hit 3 by Amos. Alexiana Bush is playing great. I mean, this is Salem basketball right here at its finest.
Sievers gets the call from Monique. Drives to her left. Heavily guarded by Allie Lake. She passes off to Kenna Amos. 7 seconds to go. Amos drives. Finds Sievers. Zai Henderson at the top of the key. Shaniqua Collins, a desperation 3 as time expires, not going to fall. And the Spirits take a 2-point lead into the half, 34-32. We'll go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with some first half analysis.
Of its dreams? Just sit on the couch crying into a carton of ice cream while other businesses are out there thriving? New Expression can help. Without the right marketing, you're a wallflower. Without a great website, you're not going to turn heads. And without social media, you don't even have a friend to tell people what a great personality you have. New Expression can give your business a total brand makeover and get you out there, attracting customers. It used to be about who had the biggest ad in the phone book. Today, customers hit the web to locate and research before they call. If Google isn't steering customers to your site or they're not impressed by what they see, you're missing out. New Expression does web design and can provide a free analysis to see how your site stacks up against the competition. Don't have time to constantly update social media? Want cool custom apps and graphics? New Expression can help there too. From print design to mobile marketing to online presence to brand identity, New Expression can help you express yourself. Find out more at nuexpression.com.
Today, community means more than the place you live. It's groups of people connected by shared interests and similar experiences. Your yoga class, your work colleagues, your book club. With all the communities in your life, shouldn't there be one for your financial life? We're First Community, financial experts here to work with you on your personal, business, investments, and insurance needs. That's the power of community.
We are here at halftime in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where the Salem Spirits lead 34-32 over the Worcester State Lancers. I'm joined by Parker Southern and Jacob Brown of the Winston-Salem Christian School Lions for some first half analysis. Fellas, what do you think's going on?
Well, Caleb and Jacob, right now I'm looking at 2 standouts, and I think one shines above the other, but Langford, obviously, for the Lancers, she's been killing it. She obviously has an extreme height advantage, number 1, but number 2, she's just playing really strong, and Jacob honestly reminds me of someone like you just because of her height and her, ability to be playing right now. And that's one person I'm looking at. But then also Alexiana Bush. I think with her 2 blocks today, she's had some good looks. She's had some good attempts. But we've seen not I don't think we've seen all of her. I think we've seen spurts of what she can do and spurts of what she wants to be doing, but Langford's really and truly played an all-around great first half.
And you talk about rebounding. Langford has 6 rebounds for the Lancers, but Crystal Lullis has 7 for the Spirits. The Worcester State Lancers have 23 rebounds compared to the Spirits' 20. So the Spirits there are able to do a good job of not getting completely out-rebounded by the Lancers. And Jacob, you were talking about crashing the boards against someone like Langford. How were they able to do that there late in the first half?
They're like in the last 2-3 minutes maybe. They started to actually box out. And like I said, if you box out someone her size, get in her knees, she will back up. And you just have to, like, they grabbed the boards, they got on a run, that's taking them into halftime with the lead.
Well, and something I noticed as well, at one point I saw Collins and Bush both at the same time trying to box out Langford, where she got the ball and they immediately both rushed to her and double-teamed her, and that was something I think was good to see just because, I mean, they need to shut her down. She doesn't need to have any opportunity with the basket or the ball. She doesn't need to have any opportunity with the ball under the basket, and that's going to be just vital to shut down.
Well, and unfortunately for the Spirits, they weren't able to shut down Langford there in the first half, as she's responsible for 17 of her team's 32 points in the first half. Cheyenne Jennings had 6 for the Lancers. On the other side for the Spirits, Zy Henderson had 14 points, Alexiana Bush with 6. In terms of the second half, what do the Spirits need to do, Jacob first, in order to maintain this lead or even break away with this game?
Just keep doing what they did the last bit of the first half. Just keep boxing out, crashing the boards, even put in some drive penetration, because once they drive, they're drawing fouls, getting to the free throw line. They just need to knock those down, and that'll get them a lead. Well,
one thing that I was noticing, just watching this game, I really kind of feel like the Lancers were the dominating team. You know, just watching, you look up the scoreboard, and the Spirits are only down by 2 or 3 at times, and in a weird way, it's almost surprising. But something I noticed that it's really standing out to me, I feel like the Spirits have just not given up yet. Every time they get down by 5, every time they get down by 4 or 3, it's like they're immediately right back up there tied, if not taking the lead. And I think that shows character, number one, but I think it's also showing their wanting for the game. But also something I have to note is I think the Lancers are shooting themselves in the foot a lot, too. I don't think they're really utilizing, number one, Langford, some of their big men, as well as I don't think they're really playing to their full potential either.
Well, the Lancers are a team that usually shoots about 40% from the 3. This first half, they're shooting only 27% compared to the Spirits' 25%. And actually, the Spirits shooting better with 43.8% field goal in the first half compared to the Lancers' 35%. And I think you're right, Parker. I think that right now the Lancers do look like a better team. They've got more numbers, they've got more size. But I think that the Spirits want this win. Right now they're on a four-game losing streak. They haven't won since playing Johnson, Tennessee. New year, new outlook on this team, and I think they're coming in here. They want this game. Jacob, as a basketball player, your team right now riding some momentum. What do you think that the coach Monique needs to say to her team in order to motivate them, in order to keep that fire going?
I mean, just tell them to do the easy things, like just run the plays, help on defense, crash boards, just the easy things. I mean, don't focus on what the score is. Just go out there, have fun, play, and believe in your team.
I think they may need to do a Coach Joey McKinney type speech and call them tissue paper, toilet paper, because that's how they're playing. For those of you who don't get the reference, in one of the Winston-Salem Lions games, they were playing Surrey Christian, and at halftime, Coach Joey McKinney, the coach of the Lions, was very frustrated, went in the locker room. We got to talk to Jacob and Madison after the game, and they were like, well, quite honestly, he told us we were playing like crap, and he said, if you guys want to wake up tomorrow morning at 5:30 and run, keep playing the way you want to. If not, you'll have a day off. And sometimes that's the motivation you need. Sometimes you got to do the screaming Bobby Knight type coach, and then sometimes you got to do the pat on your back. Let's be uplifting type coach.
Well, and to look at that, obviously it worked for you Lions. Went on to win that game against Surrey Home Educators. Went on to win the next night against Salem Baptist. A huge win for you all there in the season. And maybe that's what Coach Monique needs to be saying to her team right now in order to motivate them. Although they're not playing to their best ability, they are putting a lot of hustle out there, especially late in that first half as we saw. So that's obviously what they need to do coming out here in the second half.
Well, something else I noticed, and this is sort of like it's almost not even, it's a mental thing that I noticed, where Langford, she gets her head down a lot, I see, where there was a play, she got called for an offensive charge, and she kind of just laid on the floor and just sat there, and somebody tried to pick her up, and she kind of like brushes them off. And I've seen that she gets a little bit out of sync. And quite honestly, I remember playing soccer back in high school with you as well, Caleb, and Jacob, I'm sure you know about this. Some players have all the skill they need to be successful, but mentally they can't quite hang with it. And if you can find that, not necessarily talk crap, but start poking at it, start trying to attack her, start trying to make her get frustrated. She gets pressured, and all of a sudden she's playing at 60%. She's not playing at 95%, and that's what you need to do for a superstar like that, which, you look at successful players in the NBA or even in college, and that's what sets them apart, where almost any one of those players has the skill, per se, to be on the court. But when it comes to prime time, when it comes to clutch plays, when it comes to getting called for what you think is crazy and obviously not a foul, but you still play hard, that's what's going to set them apart. And I think that Langford right now is struggling with that just a little bit, and the Salem Spirits need to utilize it. They need to attack that.
When I look at Langford, I see comparisons between your teammate, Jacob, Jamal DeShields, someone who could potentially just take over a game if they wanted to, but sometimes chooses to be a little more passive. We've seen at times this season Jamal is quiet in a game, doesn't rebound, just sort of lets the game go by. And then other times when he wants to dominate a game, he's the most dominant player out there on the court. What is that like to play along somebody like that, and how does that affect the team?
I mean, it is like, for me, him playing like that makes me want to play harder and try to step up my game just like him. Because I know it's not all about like scoring and getting the most rebounds, most points, most steals, most blocks, or anything like that. Like Jamal, he's a great player. I mean, college is looking at him. It must be nice.
Well, Caleb, that's another thing, and it goes right along with what you're saying, Jacob. Sometimes, as a team, you're right. There doesn't. I even mentioned this. You want somebody who's out there. You want your Michael Jordan, who's taking over the game, and he leads the team every game on everything. But sometimes you need 5 players that are all 2 feet in. They're all completely committed to the system the coach has set up. They're completely committed to the game, and they're out there to help one another. And if it means I pass the ball off and that you have the glory, per se, with a layup or the 3-point, do it. Because it's not about personal stats. At the end of the day, a win is a win. And that's the record people look at. People don't look at, individual efforts on all occasions. And so Salem tonight, I think they're doing a pretty good job of that. And I think there's a fine mixture between, let's have Alexiana Bush step up. How about Severs start dribbling, at a better pace, and just sort of change the whole atmosphere of the game. I think that's what everyone wants to see. But we're going to go to a quick commercial, and then we'll be back.
Today, community means more than the place you live. It's groups of people connected by shared interests and similar experiences. Your yoga class, your work colleagues, your book club. With all the communities in your life, shouldn't there be one for your financial life? We're First Community, financial experts here to work with you on your personal, business, investments, and insurance needs. That's the power of community.
Hey, it's Big E, and I'm here with the 2013 Barbecue Pitmasters Alabama champions Ricky Wayne and Pig Daddy of Bibbs Downtown. Gentlemen, what's it like being reality stars?
Hey, it's almost as good as Bibbs Ribs, baby.
We're not Eastern or Western, we're Western.
I'll tell you one thing, I never trust a skinny cook, and these guys got it going on.
Hey, you can bring your family in, or if you like Biggie, come on in on Friday and get your Bibbs fixed.
It's barbecue with a downtown vibe.
They've got dine-in, takeout, catering, and a private event space. Be sure to follow them on Twitter and Facebook, and you can always check them out at bibsdowntown.com.
Well, with 3 minutes and 10 seconds till the start of the second half, the score right now, Salem Spirits leading the Lancers 34-32. And Caleb, let's talk a little bit about the benches right now. Salem, they've had 3 players already been playing the entire game.
Right. You look at the minutes for the Spirits. Michaela Sievers, Alexiana Bush, and Zai Henderson all played the full 20 minutes there for the Spirits. Whereas you look at the Lancers, the most minutes played was Bianca Langford and Julie Franken, who both played 16. But, they've got their minutes spread out a lot more. Perez played 13. Jennings played 8. El Kasim played 14. They've even got Natasha Gonzalez, who played 1, or Lena Graham, who played 2. They're getting a lot more players involved, whereas essentially it's come down to 5 players for the Spirits. And second half, we may see the fruits of that because the Spirits may not have the legs to go the full 40 minutes.
Right, and that's something that's I think they've utilized. We've seen a lot of different faces for the Lancers. Caleb getting over a cold right now. We've seen a lot of different faces for the Lancers, though, where they're bringing different looks, and you can't quite compare it, but you can sort of make analogies to the Kentucky platoon-style system, where when you see all these different players and you're seeing different looks at the baskets, different abilities and skill sets, that can sometimes mix you up as a guard, as someone playing defense and even attacking, just because there's different things you're looking at and watching.
Well, and interesting to note is Q Lewis, who's typically one of the best players for the Spirits. She leads the team in rebounds per game and points per game with 16 points a game and 8.9 rebounds a game. Has only played 3 minutes tonight and picked up 2 early fouls. I don't know if that Coach Monique pulled her because of the fouls or because of some illness or something that we don't know about, but Q Lewis has been absolutely silent tonight and, only played 3 minutes, didn't score at all, didn't pick up any rebounds, nothing, just complete nothing really from Q Lewis.
Yeah, and your teammates, again, we don't know the situation behind it, but again, as we're kind of looking into all this right now, Alexiana Bush is on the sideline with her shoe off and it looks like her, I want to say shin or upper ankle, she's icing it. And I'm trying to tell you guys what I'm seeing. It looks like she's taking it off, so hopefully she's coming back into this game. There's 28 seconds till it starts and her shoe's not on. So I'm going to have to say I don't think she's starting. But I'm thinking right now they're getting plagued a little bit with just, it looks like maybe sicknesses. It looks like injuries. They have 8 players on the bench.
Right.
Those are problems for a team that wants to be successful.
And if Alexiana Bush is not going to be playing the second half, that could be a problem for the Spirits. It looks like she's trying to get back into this game, potentially. Real quick, Parker, second half, what does each team need to do if they want to see a victory here today?
Well, I'm going to start with the Lancers. Langford needs to keep playing the game she's playing. She's being absolutely dominating on the court tonight. And, I want to see a little bit more from Frankian. I was impressed to see her statistics and see what she has, but tonight, points-wise and numbers-wise, she hasn't just shined like a star yet. And so I'll be curious to see the second half as her half. And then if we go over to Salem, I think it's going to be important for them to play strong defense. I think they have not had that much of an issue scoring tonight. The issue has been stopping, the fast breaks, stopping those and one plays. They can't let those happen as much as they have. And so with that,
second half, and Q Lewis in for her. Sievers, Henderson, Shaniqua Collins, Lullis, and Q Lewis round out the starters as Lewis gets a steal early in the lane. Henderson's layup no good. A fight for the rebound as Collins and Perez get tangled up there. Possession arrow goes to the Spirits, and they'll inbound the ball underneath their hoop right here in front of us on the right side. Lewis up top to Sievers, pump fake. Her 2 from the free throw line is going to drop. And Perez bringing it up the court now for the Lancers. She drives to her right. Finds Jennings. That pass stolen. Zai Henderson brings the ball up the court for the Spirits. Collins has it on the right wing, back up top to Henderson. Finds Severs for three. Her three is short, and Frankian pulls down the rebound. Julie Frankian will bring the ball up court by herself, finds Perez in the right. It's a 2. Severs now bringing the ball across the timeline for the Spirits, looking to her left.
Going to be coming back in. She's lacing her shoe up.
Perez has it on the right side. Finds Jennings to Frankian in the corner. Her three is going to drop.
Well, they're trying to make a comeback right now. 1-point lead for Salem. Been dominating so far this the second half, excuse me.
Henderson has it on the left side, outside the arc. She's going to pull up for three. No good, and Langford, strong rebound for the Lancers. As Perez pushes the ball with pace, finds El Kasem in the lane. Her layup, good for 2.
Yeah, right there was a breakdown on defense. Q Lewis got out of position, and she just said, I'm not going to foul. Let her have the basket just about.
Zy Henderson and Michaela Severs have a conversation as they come across half court. Lewis now has it at the free throw line, finds Lullis. Her shot too strong, and Langford comes down with the rebound. Frankian pushes ahead to Perez. Perez cross-court pass to Jennings. Jennings gets past Shaniqua Collins. Her two's not going to drop, and Collins comes down with. Severs now driving to her right. Finds Henderson in the corner to Lewis. Back to Henderson, back to Lewis. Q Lewis is going to drive. She's going to be called for travel. It'll be Lancers ball coming the other way. As the Lancers now have a 1-point lead, 39-38, 17:07 left in the second half.
Well, Caleb, right there I saw Kristen Lawless, and she had a strong look. And honestly, it's funny, her shot went over the basket, I think, because she said, I'm going in hard, I'm going to drive hard, and there wasn't really any competition. And so she went in too hard, and there was nothing there, so it didn't work out the way she needed it to, but I like that tenacity.
El Kasem put up a shot down low, was fouled by Q Lewis. And as we mentioned in the first half, Q Lewis was struggling with early foul trouble. Already here, just 3 minutes gone in the second half, she's got her first foul. And so we'll see Alexiana Bush sub in for her. Not a great day for Q Lewis.
And I'm curious. I wonder if there's some type of, like you said earlier, academic sickness or even maybe just personal issues going on, because I don't think her mind's right now. I think there's something strong, because she came out here and she got a steal the first 10 seconds she was in the game.
As El Kasem misses the first but makes the second of her free throws. The Spirits have it the other way now. Severs baseline drive. Finds Lullis. Her two not going to drop as Langford with the rebound. Finds El Kasem to Langford at the top of the key. She finds Frankian. Guarded by Severs. Jennings in the corner. Down low to Langford. Great no-look pass to El Kasem. She's going to get her layup to drop. And a foul is going to be called on Shaniqua Collins, as she had a little bit too much contact there with Shannon El Kasem.
Well, Caleb, something I wanted to note. Severs, on one of the drives, probably the first or second drive of the half, she was running down the court, and it looks like somebody kind of just clipped her ankle, and she flat out fell, not going to lie. And something I like to see, I think she got maybe a little embarrassed, but she got and she went, ow! And then Zy Henderson started laughing too, and they were just joking, while the whole play is going on. And that right there is that's good teammate, that's good fun, that's good friendship, things like that. And I think Coach Monet loves to see that.
Severs now drives into the lane, kicks out to Lullis. Severs for three. She gets it to fall. 41-43, Spirits down 2. As Allie Lake brings it across the timeline for the Lancers. She drives to her left, finds Frankian, guarded by Henderson. Down low to Langford. Her two is going to be short. It's going to be Spirits ball coming the other way.
And Caleb, another thing I wanted to note, the bench has been absolutely electric tonight. They've just been going crazy. They've been cheering, waving their shirts up in the air, and just been so excited for their teammates, which I know you got to love to see.
Right, as the Lancers call a timeout there in order to regroup as they have a 2-point lead. One of the things to note is in the first half, the Lancers were able to make a couple runs because they would get the ball down low and they would get a bucket and they would get a foul. They had a lot of 3-point plays in the first half that were unnecessary 3-point plays. And we've seen that here in the beginnings of the second half where they've been able to get the ball down low and they've been able to get Salem to foul them unnecessarily. And Salem needs to prevent that in order to not give the Lancers a bunch of free points.
I think you're right, Caleb. I think this is it's a bit of a wishy-washy game where I think both teams have been doing great, and they kind of just stop. And you see some 100% play from the Lancers, and then they shoot themselves in the foot with a bad pass or something. And then you see the Spirits, and they're going full throttle right at the basket, and it's a turnover. And I would love to see one team really just sort of take the reins and take control of this game. Only 5 minutes into this second half, there's a lot of game to be played, but I think the largest lead by either team, I want to say, is 5 tonight, where this has been a close game, and I bet this game will end by no more than 4-point differentiating in scores.
The Lancers did have a 7-point lead very early in the first half, but since then, you're right, it's been about a 5-point game the whole time. Neither team really able to get a full momentum swing going their way as the Spirits bring the ball up the court, down 2. Shaniqua Collins finds Zy Henderson on the right wing. Back to Collins. She finds Severs in the corner. Her 3, too strong. As Zy Henderson battles for the rebound, and Lullis has it and finds Severs. Severs' drive is blocked by Langford, and Frankian comes down with the rebound. Frankian pushes ahead to Langford. Her pass, a little too much mustard on there. Langford couldn't bring it down, and the ball's out of bounds.
Well, Caleb, one thing, Zy Henderson, if there's a chance for her to get the ball on a rebound, she is always the first one there with the most attitude and most personality. And that's what I think this whole team needs to do, where even if the other player has a step on her, she's still going on. She's going to end up on the court, whatever it may take.
Collins has it in the corner. Alexiana Bush down low. Her layup not going to drop, and Frankian pushing the other way now for the Lancers. She picks up her dribble, finds Lake to her left. Lake now at the top of the key. Down low to Keisha Jones, back up top to Lake. Now Jones, baseline, kicks back out to Lake. She's going to pull up from the elbow. Her shot no good as Severs comes down with the rebound and pushes it the other way. She swings the ball right to Alexiana Bush. Severs finds Henderson on the near side. Henderson drives left, loses it, but is able to recover. Shaniqua Collins with the ball, finds Severs at the top of the key. Down low to Bush. El Kassim with a strong block there. Lancers pushing the ball the other way. As Cheyenne Jennings was able to find Julie Frankian for an easy 2. Lancers take a 4-point lead over the Spirits, just under 14 minutes to play here in the game. Severs looks to her left to find Shaniqua Collins. Lullis now at the top of the key. Collins pulls up for 3. No good. But Alexiana Bush comes down with the rebound. Shaniqua Collins going to reset the offense at the top of the key. Severs now in the corner. Alexiana Bush for 3. Not going to fall. And Lancers come the other way with it. As El Kassim gets an easy look down low.
Hey, Caleb, I think right now Coach Monet needs to call a timeout or some type. Right there on the inbound pass, an immediate steal. And there goes another basket. And this is the largest lead we've seen all night, 8 points with 13 minutes, 14 seconds to go. Caleb, a lot of breakdowns right there. Talk about a few.
Well, as you see, Coach Moniz is furious with her team after just a bunch of defensive lapses. When the Lancers have the ball, it seems as if the Spirits are just a little confused. They don't really know what's going on right now. And right there, the Lancers scored. And I think it was Cheyenne Jennings, who was just standing there on the inbounds, made an easy play, stole the inbounds pass, and put up a layup. That was 6 points there real quick for the Lancers. They were able to break out to this 8-point lead, as you mentioned, largest of the game.
Well, Caleb, I think Alexiana Bush, she quite frankly looks tired. On that last breakaway, she didn't even get past half court. She kind of just stayed down here and expected him to score, and I guess was just not trying to cherry pick, but just sort of waiting around. And I think we've seen that from her. And, conditioning really shouldn't ever be an issue in any sport. You should be so in shape that you can play all, whatever number of minutes the game is. But I think you also have to look over at her, and some of the looks that she is taking underneath the basket are looks that I don't know are probably the ones she wants to be, where I'm looking at it and she kind of just goes up. I think if she was to give it maybe a pivot, if she was to give a pump fake, if she was to fake an inbound pass, try a hook shot, things like that, it just spices up what she is able to do underneath the basket, because tonight we've kind of just seen her try to use her body and her size, but she doesn't have it tonight because there are taller players and stronger players.
Right, and that fatigue that you were mentioning, obviously she played the whole first half and played almost the entire second half now, as she is getting a little more tired as the game goes on. Spirits now have it. Severs finds Bush in the corner. Her three no good.
And
the ball coming over here hitting our table.
Yep, sorry about that. That loud pop, we apologize. Everything's good for us, though. Don't worry, we survived it.
Lancers bringing the other way. Perez pushing the ball. Finds Jones in the corner. Down low to El Kasem. She kicks out to Perez. Perez cross-court pass to Frankian. And there we see a pass almost stolen by Zy Henderson, but the Lancers able to recover. Perez drives. Jennings at the top of the key. Down low to El Kasem. Short two. A little too strong, and Crystal Wallace comes down with the rebound.
Well, Caleb, they need to start taking away this lead. And of course, as I say that, Collins right there throwing up an easy two. And that's bringing the game down. A 6-point game now.
A great running floater there from Shaniqua Collins on the offensive attack. As you mentioned, 6-point game, 49-43, Lancers lead as Jennings drives to her left, kicks out to Jones, Frankian at the top of the key, pump fakes for three, finds Perez, down low to El Kasem. Her shot too strong, and Alexiana Bush comes down with the rebound. She passes off to Shaniqua Collins. Collins at the top of the key, passes to her right to Severs. Severs gets a screen from Lullis. Lullis finds Zy Henderson, who's going to step out of bounds on the baseline. It's going to be Lancers' ball.
And she knew she stepped out, too. And that's one of the things I respect about Zy Henderson. She's not going to scream at the ref. She's not going to fight. She's not going to make a big deal of it and have a good attitude no matter what. And instead of tearing down someone else, she's going to try to uplift and look at the good in what her players are doing. And that's something, I really value in any type of sport.
Franking at the top of the key. Perez down low to Langford. Keisha Jones, three from the corner, going to get it to drop.
And Caleb, again, they got to have a stop. They're answering with twos, and the Lancers are coming back, and they're answering with threes.
And Keisha Jones, one of those players who has played in 8 of the 9 games for the Lancers this year, a good spark off the bench. As the Spirits miss a two, Lancers come the other way with it now, pushing it in transition. Now a 54-43 lead for the Lancers. Shaniqua Collins brings the ball across the timeline and going to slow down the offense now.
Caleb, you have to ask, too, at what point is a game out of reach? You'd love to say that's never the case, but right now, you said no team's gotten into full swing. Well, they've gotten into full swing. And, of course, as I say that, Alexiana Bush nails a three.
Alexiana Bush been a big presence here today. Adds to her point totals and brings the game back to within an 8-point game. As Perez has it for the Lancers at the top of the key. Pushes left to Keisha Jones. She finds McPherson down low, who hands it off to Jones for three. No good. Gets her own rebound, and Perez going to reset at the top of the key. She drives right, finds Langford, whose layup is no good. Puts it back, no good again, and Zy Henderson grabs the board and pushes it the other way. A reckless layup there for Henderson. Not going to fall. Lancers coming the other way with it now. Langford down low. Nice spin move. Her layup won't fall, though. She's a little frustrated as Alexiana Bush comes down with the rebound.
Well, that's 2 possessions in a row now. The Langford's gone up and tried to, make a layup. The first time she went up, she had 3 opportunities, and they all bounced out, were all rebounded by her, and then the final one just rebounded away, and she's had great looks. She just can't seem to finish.
Alexiana Bush tries the reverse layup, not going to fall, but gets her own rebound. She pulls up for 3 and gets the bank.
Hey, Caleb, Langford kind of just walks away down the court, no jog, no sprint, and she's just simply laughing. She was smiling like, did that really just happen?
I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen.
She jaded that one right in the face.
Langford, 2 from the corner, not going to fall. Shaniqua Collins with a rebound. And Zai Henderson bringing the ball up the court now for the Spirits. Sievers drives to her left. Good take in the lane, but stolen by Perez. And a foul called on Nani Perez. It's going to be Spirits ball underneath the hoop.
We saw this game getting up to an 11-point lead for the Lancers, and now it's 49-54, so back down to 5. This is definitely something, Coach Monet wants to see. I think she's keeping her cool. She's expecting a lot out of her players, and they're starting to show up. Zai Henderson there for 3, and that one's going to be airballed.
Too strong for Henderson, but as you mentioned, Coach Monet not letting her players get too down. They're able to combat the wave of momentum that the Lancers had there. Now they've got it to a 5-point game as Perez has it at the top of the key. Zai Henderson giving her a lot of room. She goes cross-court to Kaisha Jones. Back up top to Perez. Perez drives right. It's going to be fouled on the floor by Zai Henderson. It'll be Lancers ball underneath their hoop. And on the court right now for the Spirits, Crystal Lawless, Michaela Sievers, Zai Henderson, Q Lewis, and Alexiana Bush. So for the Spirits, 2 of their biggest players in there, and Langford out for the Lancers. The biggest player right now for the Lancers would be Shannon El Kassim. So maybe the Spirits can look to use some of their size right now.
Well, hopefully Q Lewis maybe got talked to on the bench. Maybe some of her players, former teammates, have helped her out a little bit and try to get her mind right, honestly.
As Perez goes to the line for that foul, makes the first of 2 free throws. Takes 3 dribbles, another 3, and her free throw is good. Sievers now pushing the ball. Just under 8 minutes to play. 7-point lead for the Lancers. As Q Lewis has it at the top of the key. Passes to Lullis. She gets the bank to go. Back down to a 5-point lead.
Okay, we've seen a lot from Lullis tonight. I'm impressed by her play tonight, just by some of the floaters she's had. And, again, just her way of attacking the rim. It's been good.
Perez has it on the far side. Guarded by Q Lewis. Up top to Jones. Down low to El Kassim. Her layup not going to fall. And Crystal Lullis comes down with a rebound. She's going to be fouled by El Kassim.
Caleb, fouling hasn't really been much of an issue tonight other than some of those and ones. But right now with 7 minutes left to go, over half of the second half, Salem only with 3 fouls and the Lancers only with 2.
Sievers bringing the ball up the court. Slowing down the pace for the Spirits. Guarded heavily by Perez. Finds Q Lewis at the top of the key. Lewis drives in the lane. Spin move. Her layup won't fall. And Natasha Gonzalez comes down with a rebound to Perez, who drives right. Kicks back out to El Kassim. Her too strong, and Zai Henderson comes down with the rebound. Sievers now eyes up the court, trying to push it. Finds Crystal Lullis in the corner. She's driving to her right. Pulls up from the elbow, no good, and Perez comes down with the rebound. Perez driving on Sievers, and Sievers with an easy steal there. Long full court pass to Zai Henderson, who's going to get the layup to drop. 3-point game here. Lancers lead 56-53.
Well, Gail, right there, senior leadership. Zia Henderson making it count when she needs to. That's her 4th fast break points of the night, so she's got 12 points already just on fast breaks. That's not counting the assists and the steals she's had as well on top of it.
McPherson driving left for the Lancers, stolen by Crystal Lullis. Lullis finds Q Lewis, who's going to get her layup to go. And the Lancers going to be forced to call a timeout here as the Spirits have brought it back to a 1-point game, 56-55. Jacob Brown of the Winston-Salem Christian School Lions back with us. Jacob, what's going on right now for the Spirits?
I mean, they're on a run. They're getting steals. I mean, they're going to the hole hard. I'm finishing layups, getting rebounds. Except on offense, they need to crash on offense a little bit harder.
Well, with just 5:55 left here in the game, you look at them, they're fired up right now. What do they need to do to finish out these last 6 minutes of play?
They got the pace of the game right now, so just keep that up. And just keep getting the steals. I mean, they're going hard, so just keep going to the hole, finish layups, get rebounds.
And a lot of the players for the Spirits have been playing most of the game. What do they need to do right now to fight fatigue and push themselves mentally to not let their fatigue affect their game?
They just need to believe in themselves and know they can do it and push through. I mean, I had to do that one game against North Hills Christian. I didn't come out the first half, and I just had to keep going.
You got to push through there mentally, through the physical exhaustion. As the Lancers bring the ball up the court and Zia Henderson with a steal. Now the Spirits have an opportunity to take the lead. Lullis at the top of the key. Screen from Q Lewis. Lewis is going to drive. Her layup's not going to fall, but Alexiana Bush with a strong rebound. Her layup's going to drop. And the Spirits now with a 1-point lead, just over 5 minutes to go here in the game.
Caleb, that may have been the most important drive of the night to really and truly stop that swing that the Lancers had and now solidify it. They put it in concrete,
Langford down low. She gets her hook shot to go against Bush. Lullis pushes ahead to Sievers. Sievers pulling out to half court. Try and reset the offense. Finds Lullis. Lullis to Q Lewis. He's going to drive. Layup not going to fall, but she battles Langford for the rebound. Langford comes down with it. Langford's pass ahead to Frankian. Frankian pushes to El Kassim. El Kassim kicks out to Jennings. Back to Frankian. Langford a long two. Not going to fall, and Crystal Lullis comes down with the strong rebound. Lullis drives right. Finds Q Lewis. Lewis thinks about a three, but instead drives. Layup no good. Langford, another rebound. She finds Jennings, who's going to push it. Finds Perez on the left side, and she gets her two to fall. Now a 60-57 game. Lancers up 3, just under 4 minutes to play.
Okay, they can't let the game get out of hand now because even though they had an 11-point deficit earlier, they can't fight back from that with under 4 minutes to go. They need to shut it down now and get back rolling.
Zia Henderson finds Alexiana Bush at the top of the key. Michaela Sievers down low to Q Lewis. Q Lewis posts up on Shannon El Kassim, gets her jumper to fall. And the bench happy about that one. Coach Monique likes what she sees. 3.5 to go. Lancers lead by 1. This one's going to come down to the wire as Perez has it at the top of the key. Drives to her right. A foul going to be called on Crystal Lullis underneath. Not a shooting foul, though, so they'll inbound the ball. Perez inbounds to Jennings, who's wide open for 3 and gets it to fall. Sievers bringing it the other way. Drives to her right, finds Zia Henderson. Henderson the screen from Lewis, then passes to Lewis, who gives the ball to Alexiana Bush. Scramble as Crystal Lullis finds the loose ball, and Michaela Sievers fouled as she's driving into the hoop. Doesn't get her layup to fall, but she'll go to the line to shoot two. 2:54 left in this game. 63-59 lead for the Lancers. Both teams looking a little exhausted.
Yeah, Caleb, and right here, these are really important free throws. I know you got to work on the fundamentals, but right here, you got to cut down this 4-point lead. You got to make it a one-possession game for both teams. And I think Q Lewis right now, she's come in and she's really stood up as, just a fighter right now and showing her character. And that first basket is up and it is missed. Claps from the teammates. Now here's the shot.
She gets her second one to drop. Coach Monique calls a timeout. After a quick commercial break, we'll be back to bring you the last 3 minutes of this game.
Today, community means more than the place you live. It's groups of people connected by shared interests and similar experiences. Your yoga class, your work colleagues, your book club. With all the communities in your life, shouldn't there be one for your financial life? We're First Community, financial experts here to work with you on your personal, business, investments, and insurance needs. That's the power of community.
Well, 2 minutes, 54 seconds to go. 3-point game as the Lancers away team 63, Salem Spirits 60. The ball is now in possession of the Lancers, and I'm going to hand it off to Caleb.
Perez bringing the ball across the timeline slowly. Cross-court pass to Frankian. Frankian back up top to Perez. Finds El Kassim down low. El Kassim finds Langford down low. She gets the two to drop. And Sievers pushing the ball the other way fast. Finds Zy Henderson on the right side. Screen from Lewis. Zy Henderson drives. Finds Q Lewis, who pulls up for three. Not going to drop, and Perez comes down with the rebound. Perez finds El Kassim for two. Not going to fall, though, and Q Lewis swatted that ball. Like she was just trying to tip out the rebound, but she was in the lane and hit it all the way across to the other side of the court.
Well, Caleb, this is, speaking obvious things again, 5-point lead for the Lancers, but this will be a really hard game to lose, especially the way they played the whole game, if the Salem Spirits don't get it back under control.
As you say that, Langford misses her layup, grabs her own rebound, and makes the putback. Now a 7-point game, 1:50 to go. That's Michaela Sievers, who's commanding the point guard tonight. Brings the ball up the court. Lullis at the top of the key. Swings wide to Alexiana Bush. Her shot's not going to fall. And Q Lewis battles El Kassim for the rebound. It's going to be Lancers ball. Now with just a minute and 30 to play. Perez bringing the ball. And her coach telling her to slow it down. Perez guarded by Henderson. Kicks it wide to Frankian. El Kassim on the drive, going to be fouled by Alexiana Bush. And she'll go to the line to potentially make this a 9-point game. And El Kassim, second on the team in points per game with 12.2. She's an 83% free throw shooter. But the first one off the side of the rim for her.
Yeah, and Caleb, with only a minute and 18 seconds to go, they're going to need steals. They're going to need some three-point baskets right here in the stretch to hopefully solidify a comeback if it's possible.
As El Kassim makes the second of two free throws. Sievers now pushing the ball. Calling out to her teammates. Drives to the left side of the lane. Alexiana Bush with a reverse layup off the glass. Gets it to fall. And Perez pushing the ball now. Perez drives and then pulls out. She's guarded by Sievers. Perez looked to foul Sievers, but nothing called there. And she finds Julie Frankian in the corner, good for two. As Crystal Lullis passes to Sievers. Sievers drives. Alexiana Bush has it. Now up top to Q Lewis. Q Lewis will pull up for three. That ball's going to be short, and Langford comes down with a strong rebound. 30 seconds to go. 8-point lead for the Lancers as Julie Frankian Tries to get the ball across half court. She does. Finds Langford. Now to Jennings. And the Spirits will start fouling here with 22 seconds remaining. Cheyenne Jennings fouled there. Only the 6th foul, though, on the Spirits. So they won't be shooting.
Well, Caleb, too, I think we saw a little bit of Severs and maybe her first year in this, I guess you could say. She's young, right? And she's bringing the ball on the court really at no rushed pace at all. And, with under a minute to go, you can't do that. You got to rush the offense. It's got to be full sprint, knees to chest, as fast as you can be getting down this court, and I don't think we saw that from her.
Frankie misses the first of a 1-and-1. Bush comes down with the rebound. Severs now pushing the ball with some pace. Finds Collins on the left side. Cross-court pass to Alexiana Bush. She drives. Lullis at the top of the key is going to heave up a 3. Gets it to fall. Lancers now inbound. As it looks like Crystal Lullis' 3 is too little too late as time expires here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, as the Worcester State Lancers grab a 70-65 lead over the Salem Spirits, as this game just ended here with Parker Southern and Jacob Brown of the Winston-Salem Christian School Lions. What went wrong there for the Spirits?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that needs to be improved, I think, really by the Salem Spirits. I want to say, though, before we even get into any of those details, the character that I saw tonight by this Salem team was phenomenal. I thought it was a great fight. And as we said, there was very few points, that it was more or less than a 5-point game. And as it ends, 70-65, just a 5-point game. I thought they fought back. They never gave up. And as a young team, those are some of the things you look for. You can't always have those 500-plus records, especially in some of the newer seasons with a newer coach and newer players. And so I think this is something to, not hang your head too low about. Yes, love a win tonight. That would have been a really big deal, but obviously a couple issues with Q Lewis and with Hannah McBride being on the bench as well. They would have loved to see both those players being impact players in the game. But, Caleb, what are your thoughts?
Well, like you said, a good fight from the Spirits. They weren't able to capitalize late. Could have been due to fatigue. As we get the stats here, Michaela Severs, played the entire game. Zai Henderson only out for 1 minute. A lot of fatigue setting in. They weren't able to hit the fundamentals late in the stretch when it really mattered. Jacob, what did you see?
I think just like the players that played most of the game just ran out of gas at the end. So, I mean, it was a hard-fought battle for them, but just came short.
Right, and Jacob, I think a lot of that sometimes, you're playing and there's no momentum behind you either. That can just sort of bring you down so much, whereas sometimes you can be gassed, you can be tired, and your team starts getting a swing, and you can use that momentum to ride and to try to push you to the end of the game, but they were struggling both with, a physical play of tiredness, but also, they just couldn't really get anything to fall, and they were failing, I think, in that area a little bit as well.
As we look at the stats here, a very dominant performance from Bianca Langford of the Worcester State Lancers. She had 25 points and 14 rebounds. The Lancers able to have 4 players in double-digit scoring. Shannon El-Kassim had 10. Julie Frankian also had 10. And Cheyenne Jennings added 11. Compared to the Spirits, Zai Henderson and Alexiana Bush both with 16 points. And Crystal Lullis 1 point shy of a double-double with 12 rebounds and 9 points there. But as we mentioned, coming down the stretch, the Spirits were not able to ride the momentum. They had a back-and-forth game for most of the first and second half. There down the stretch, fatigue seemed to set in as the Spirits lose this one 70-65. Some final thoughts, Jacob?
I mean, they played good. Don't pout about it. I mean, it was a good game. They didn't have that much players anyways.
Right, playing down a couple of players. Unfortunately for them, not able to get the win. Now the Spirits sit at 1-7. The Worcester State Lancers advance to 7-3. And you all will be playing Saturday in Fayetteville. So tune in for that game, and thank you, Jacob Brown, for joining us today on the headset. We'll get Coach Monique here for some post-game comments.
mic is
struggling with the headset a little bit.
Sounds good on this end.
Coach Monique, thanks for joining us here. First off, tough game. What did you see from your team down the stretch?
From my team, one of the things that I will always commend them on is that they never stop the fight. We got a little lackadaisical at some points, and that kind of hurt us. But this team, they'll fight till the finish, and that's exactly what they did. And I can't commend them enough for it.
And how much of a factor do you think fatigue was today? Y'all were playing basically 5 or 6 players in the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. We just came off of 2 games down in we were playing in a tournament down at Piedmont. I have short numbers right now, and they're playing, 30, 40-some minutes a game, and they're still giving it their all, and that's what I can ask for. They're going to give you the best that they can.
Well, something I always notice is Zy Henderson, her seniority in the team and the leadership she brings. How do you think that can maybe affect some of the first-year students on the team in a game like this where it does come down to a crunch time-like situation?
Yeah, with Zy, she is my spark. She is my spark on and off the bench. She is a great leader, and she is a great captain. Even she was having a great game today. And even the days that she's not having a great game, she is always lifting everybody up and making sure that if they're feeling down, she's the first person to come over and help lift them up. And also Crystal Wallace, she's another senior, and she shows great leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess finally, Coach, moving on in the season, what do you think is one of the maybe 1 or 2 things that really needs to be worked on to kind of just change the tide of the season and maybe get more wins on the board? What do you think needs to be worked on?
One of the things that I know that we need to work on, and we've been continue working on it, is our rebounding.
Right.
Especially today, I was playing some 4 guards and 1 post in, and we just got to make sure that we're still boxing out and still releasing and going and getting those rebounds. That's definitely been hurting us a little bit. And whenever we get tired, we start making dumb mistakes, and we just got to be smarter whenever we're handling the ball.
Right, for sure. Well, Happy New Year, and thank you so much, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Happy New Year, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, Caleb, we hear Coach Monet talking about the game. I think some of the notable things you got to look at is Zy Henderson and, her coming back out on the game and having that spark, just like Coach said, the leadership and such. And so moving on to the season, like she said, rebounding, I think, is number one of the most important things they've got to work on. But then also, I think maybe it's just an overall mentality. I think, you lose so many games in a row and you kind of just go, I don't want to say you give up, but there's a lack of focus, I guess you could say. Right,
and the Spirits, at this point in the season, they may want to hang their heads. Sitting at 1-7, they've got a bunch of games coming forward though. They do have a lot of games left in their season, and they do have time to turn this around. So if they can, we saw probably 30, 35 minutes of great play today, a lot of hustle from the Spirits. If they can put together a game of 40 minutes of hustle and compete the entire time, get some fresh legs in there, I think that the Spirits will continue or begin to see some good wins from them.
Absolutely. Well, Happy New Year to everyone who listened in Massachusetts as well as down here in North Carolina and anywhere else. And as always, I'm Parker Southern alongside Caleb Waters, and we hope you guys have a safe and great start to your 2015.
Thanks for tuning in to Triad Sports Coverage. We'll be back on Saturday as the Winston-Salem Christian School Lions head down to Fayetteville for a big matchup, so tune in then. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you guys later.